All right. We are getting ready. Let's do all the setup here, right? As you all know. Got my attire. I don't know. I don't think I like lighter colored things. I don't think I look good in it. Can I do it that way with that? Let's do it this way. I think there's plenty of light, right? Yeah. I like it. Hello, hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, let me do some levels here real quick.
All right, I talk a little bit. I'm using a little microphone that's part of a camera,
Oh, nice, cool.
and hopefully the sound quality is okay.
Yeah, everything sounds good so far on this end. So yeah,
Okay, good.
levels look good, all set up. Awesome. Yeah. So we'll do like 1 or 2 seconds of silence, and then we'll kind of jump into the intro.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Cursology. You know my next guest as the upright bass player in Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, touring the nation currently, enjoying the thrills of on-stage performance and audiences that love them. Please welcome my guest, Mr. Dirk Shumaker.
Hey, thanks, Chris. It's a pleasure being here.
Absolutely. Now, you and I, we were just talking earlier, the fact that we've known each other as friends for like 10 plus years now, which blows my mind.
Yeah, me too. I can't believe time goes by so quick.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, since you know you're not watching video right now, those watching the video, you'll see this. I'll describe to those that just like to listen to our podcasts. But I do something a little gift, I guess, or a little something special for each guest for the video. Which for you today, I have dressed in my most comfy, casual, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy-esque outfit.
Right on.
Now, I didn't do the whole suit and tie. It is quite warm here in Atlanta, and didn't want to be sweating throughout the talk here. But so I kind of have more of a, I guess, a kid look from the band, because I have like the Newsies type hat and kind of a sweater vest thing going. So.
Oh, right on. You're of the period.
Right.
I'm sure you look great.
Oh, thank you. Well, so welcome. What are you up to currently? Like, you guys are still out on the road now and prepping for holidays, or?
Yeah, actually, as we speak, it's the first weekend of August, to 2023, and we did a run of dates on the East Coast, mostly through Pennsylvania, a week before last. Played, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, played State College, which is where the university is. Nice. And then we went down to Reston, Virginia, and out to Delaware, and then flew home. And so that was our last trip. The next one coming up, we're going to go to upstate New York next weekend. We're going to play Chautauqua, Geneva, New York, and then we're going to go to let's see, Derry, New Hampshire,
Ooh.
and then we're going to wrap it up at a place called the City Winery in New York City, New York.
Oh,
So
very nice.
yeah, so that's gonna be fun. So yeah, we travel a lot of quite a bit, and it's kind of off and on. Like we'll go out for like 4 or 5 days and come home for a week or so. And then our most busy season is actually Christmas. We have Big Bad Voodoo Daddy has a Christmas show that we've been doing for a number of years,
Yeah.
and it's very successful. Our booking agent has a good success rate with getting us into theaters and different places where they want to see a Christmas themed show.
Yeah.
So we have like Christmas songs as well as our own Voodoo Daddy songs that we usually do, and it's pretty successful. People really enjoy it.
Now, and you have a huge eclectic following of fans. Being at the shows multiple times, seeing people dressed up even way more than me, and enjoying, and even sometimes dancing in the aisles. But for those future fans that we hopefully will attract with this podcast that don't know Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, I came to know you because of the movie Swingers. Being a Jon Favreau fan and Vince Vaughn fan. How did you guys get started? Like, was that like me finding you is not the start of your life together. So how did you get together? How did you guys kind of start? Was that your first gig, or?
Well, there's actually kind of a lot that led up to that. The band formed originally in 1993, and it was a group of guys in Ventura, California. And at the time, I was still living in Santa Barbara, California. And I would drive down to Ventura, we'd rehearse together. And Scotty Morris, the guitar player, had this idea to start like a neo swing band, where like we'd do like swing tunes, but we'd have more of like a smaller horn section. And we started out, our original horn section was just a trumpet and a baritone sax, which was kind of an interesting combination. But then later on, we added a trombone player. So we had a trumpet, saxophone, and a trombone. Okay. So like a little 3-piece horn section, and then guitar, bass, and drums. And that was the original Voodoo Daddy. And we'd learn like kind of blues-oriented tunes and a couple of swing tunes, and it was kind of rudimentary, but it was really fun because it was really different. Because we would dress up in suits and fedoras, and we'd have a horn section. It just was not what was happening in the popular music at the time. Right. So it was kind of a novelty. And we started getting some interesting gigs. We started getting called for weddings and stuff because the music that we played was really cross-generational. Like older people would like it, and then younger people would like it. It was very... but then it was also kind of hip because it was different. So like when we played in the clubs and stuff like that, it would really catch people's attention because the way we looked, and then having the horn section, and then playing, and then I have a string bass, which you didn't really see too often, the big upright, bass violin, and it caught your eye, and then we started to develop the sound, and we started to get better over time and stuff like that, and then we picked up a gig in Los Angeles at a nightclub called the Derby. And we played every Wednesday at this nightclub in the Derby, and it was swing night on Wednesday. And we took over from a band called the Royal Crown Review, and they got a recording contract. And so they went in to record this album, and as the time that they were devoting to that, we got to pick up their gigs. So we were playing every Wednesday at the Derby, and that's when Jon Favreau approached us and said, "Hey, I wrote this movie, and I wrote a part for like when we come to the Derby and we're going to see a swing band. Would you like to be in it?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure." We had no idea what it was, and it was all self-produced. He just was. I think he funded it with his own money and everything. And so we shot the film. We did our section. There's a part where he dances to our songs, and that was it. That's all we heard from him for like the next year. And then he was coming back to the Derby, and we kept asking him, what's going on with that movie? He says, "Oh, we're editing it." Okay, all right, cool. What's going on with that movie? "Oh, it's in post-production." Okay, it just goes on and on. What's going on with that movie? It's like, oh, we're kind of shopping it around. We're seeing how it goes. Okay, and then we read in Variety magazine that Jon Favreau showed the movie at Sundance. and it got picked up by Miramax, which was like the biggest independent film distributor at the time in the late '90s. And then it got released, and it became a hit. And it just was like, oh my God, the doors just opened, man. And we were in this film portraying ourselves. So it's like it wasn't like we were like the band in the background. There's a scene in Swingers where they say, "Hey, we're going to go see Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. Do you want to come?" And so they're saying our name.
Yeah.
It's on the screen. There's a shot of the marquee that has our name on it, and it was a golden ticket. And the popularity of that movie just propelled us into like the limelight. It was fantastic, and we were getting gigs left and right. And we got a recording contract, and it actually led us to getting a spot at the Super Bowl halftime in 1999.
Yeah,
that was like a huge landmark. And then we were doing festivals, like all these music festivals in Europe, like in the year 2000 and the year 2001. Stuff, and so it launched our career. It just put us on the stage, and it was and we all wanted to do it. Like everyone in the band was really excited about the success, and everyone stayed on board, and we just rode that train, and just kept it together till this day.
Yeah, and to me that's the amazing part, that it's kind of like your big break-ish.
Oh, yeah, by all means. I mean, it's like you couldn't have tailored it better. Like if someone said, "What would you want to do to make yourself famous?" I would never say, "Oh, portray ourselves in a movie."
Especially as musicians, you want the big gig, you want to play at the arenas that you want to play at and everything.
Right, like you want the hit song, or you want the top album. But it's like, man, to be in a movie portraying yourself, and the movie to be successful. I mean, that was like it couldn't have been better. And then at the point in our lives, everyone was, we were all, we didn't really have families yet, and so we were all like footloose and ready to tour, and that's exactly what we did. We packed it all in a van and drove across the country literally twice.
Wow.
In the 1997 Ford Econoline E350, and all packed into this van. And then we had two other guys that were in another van that had all the gear, and we drove ourselves Interstate 10 from Southern California all the way to Jacksonville, Florida. Wow. Interstate 95 all the way up from Jacksonville to New York.
Yep.
And across the 80, like we just a huge circle around the U.S. playing clubs, but we loved it. We had so much fun. It was just like it was the salad days. It was amazing. And
it's such a fun time for those that may listen to this and are younger, or for those for whatever reason don't remember the mid '90s. It was such a fun time, that I found, you guys obviously as an actor, I was more into the movie, and I was like, hey, this sounds great. Like this is kind of a cool swing kind of. My friends were kind of getting into that with fedoras, and we'd go out, and we love as actors to just dress up and go to different places and nightclubs that we don't really belong. We weren't there to club and like, and dance. We were there to like swing dance or fun ballroom dance. And it was the era of like the Cherry Poppin' Daddies and Brian Setzer and all these. Yeah. So that's kind of how I found you guys.
Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of stuff happening at the time too. Like one of the big things is so funny how like actually a television commercial helped steer things. The Gap, the clothing company, The Gap, produced an ad using Louis Prima's Jump, Jive, and Wail for Gap khaki.
Yeah.
And they showed people swing dancing, and they were swing dancing wearing these khaki pants, and it was Jump, Jive, and Wail, and it was a super popular ad. And then Brian Setzer covered the song, and it became a hit.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everyone was swing dancing and dressing up, and it was a full-on movement. The neo swing movement was really fun. Right at the end of the '90s, and it was. And we were just in the right place at the right time. It just worked out perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And you continue. You do the Super Bowl of all things, which I've now worked my own Super Bowl when the Bucks were there and we were living in Florida. I was doing some things with them, and it's just a different beast. Like and of course mine was during COVID, so it was like half the people, and it was like super security and stuff like that. But you continue to progress and gain fans and stuff. As the band went on and recorded more albums and maybe booked some more dates, how did that kind of turn your life? Did you have a plan of like, hey, I want to do this for a long time, or hey, we're out of California all the time. My family's back in California. Like, how did that kind of settle with you as your dreams were coming true?
Well, it's a whole combination of things that worked in our favor, and I think the first one is that the group of guys that we worked with all had the same mindset. Like, we all wanted this to be successful, and we were really of the mindset of like we would do everything in our power to keep it together and maintain the fact that we could travel and play music and be on stage and enjoy like this kind of life. And everyone just kind of kept it. They kind of kept that in their heads, and like whatever adversity came along, like we had a business manager in the beginning that he kind of overworked us, but at the time we didn't think it was overwork. We just were taking every opportunity we could.
Absolutely.
And then we look back on it, we're going, oh, wait a second here, this isn't really beneficial. We need to part ways and figure out some where we can actually cool our jets and keep our health, but still have a good career. And so there's been changes like that where you kind of grow up in a way. Like, right. You can't always stay up all night and then drive all day to the next gig and then stay up all night and then drive all day. It's like you can't do it after a while. Right. And so you have to have time off, or you have to be more calculated with your gigs. You can't just take any gig. You have to figure out, okay, is this gonna how's this gonna pay, and how much does it cost to get there, kind of stuff. So we started to kind of grow up in that aspect, and so we changed management, and then our original record contract kind of expired, to put it nicely.
Right.
So then we started searching out other ways to record music and get it distributed, and then on top of that, the entire complexion of the music industry changed. Like, when we first started making records, you still could make a record, and you could still, and tell you the truth, CDs were brand new. Like, in our original recording contract of 1998, it said new media, which included compact discs, and it was like they were only out for a couple of years before we had our recording contract. Yeah. And then anyway, the whole Napster thing happened. And are you still there?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
There's for people who are too young to remember Napster, it was like a file sharing program that essentially you could put your digital music online, and you could share it for free. So all of a sudden, oh crap, it's like you can't make money off of albums anymore because people are ripping them and sharing them and downloading them, and it's like it obliterated the music industry, and the music industry didn't catch up with it. There's other companies that came up from the underworld to like grab the streaming thing that was like happening now. So that really changed things for us too. It's like, okay, we can make records, but we're not going to make money off these records. So we have to really concentrate on our live performance and making sure that we have a good touring act that people still want to see and come out to listen to.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know where I'm going with that, but it's the whole complexion of the music industry changed, but we really just kept wanting to stay together, and we still were chasing the dream. It's like we still want to be entertainers. We still want to play music for a living. So let's figure out a way to make this pay off.
Yeah. And how many of the band members of original band members are still with you guys?
Well, the core group, Scotty and Kurt and Andy and myself, we were. That was like the four original. The very original group was Kurt and Scott, and they had a different bass player. And the first call, Kurt called me up and said, "Hey, we're not getting along with this bass player. And I hear that you have a string bass, and we wanted to do this swing style. And like, would you be interested?" And it's like, yeah. So it was the three of us to start with, and then Scotty knew Andy, and then Andy knew our original trumpet player. His name was Ralph Votrian, and so that was. And then from there, we kept adding, like we added Jeff Harris on the trombone, and then Ralph left the band, and then we added Glenn Marhefka. And so then that was Glenn, Andy, and Jeff on horns for a long period of time. And then we added Josh on the piano, and Carl Carl and Glenn knew each other from college, and then we added a fourth horn player. So then we had Jeff, Glenn, Andy, and Carl. So we had a 4-piece horn section for a long time. And so to answer your question, it's like it kind of built up over time. But the original guys really essentially were Scotty and Kurt.
Okay, so it wasn't just like we're starting a band, boom, and guys leave. It's kind of like you kind of pieced together as you went, and found what a solid sound, and hey, let's enhance this or let's add this, and
yep, that's exactly right. And so over time, things work, and they work for a period of time, and then you kind of move around and stuff. But fortunately, the lineup that we have now has been on stage. Like we have a different trombone player that, even though he's not an official member of the band, he's been playing with us for close to 20 years now.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. He joined the band right. I remember when my daughter was born. So it's like right after 90. No, wait. I take that back. It was when my son was born, like 2002.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's been almost 20 years with good old Alex Henderson, the trombone player. He's a really great hang and an excellent musician.
Oh yeah, and all the guys, you guys all have your personalities, and it's one thing, we've talked to a couple artists and stage performers and musicians, and it's so cool to go to your shows because you almost expect not to just sit and watch and listen to music. Like you want to get up, or you guys, involved in clapping and you spinning the bass and all that sort of stuff is just, you can focus in on like one of you at a time, and there's something unique going on. The brass is kind of dancing around and kick lining it or something. And
well, thank you, man. Yeah, we've always prided ourselves on keeping the music like happy and joyous and fun, because in the beginning, like playing the derby, it was a dance club. So the songs we picked, they had to have a certain tempo to keep people dancing.
Right.
Like we were never really making a statement, or the only thing we really have to say is have a good time. Yeah. So like essentially we were a dance band, so we've just translated that throughout the years, and we've kind of expanded. Like we've got more introspective with some of the songs that we've composed and recorded, but still in the core, the heart of the band is, it's going to be a party. It's going to be a fun time, and definitely let's have a dance floor out there. Absolutely.
And me personally, I'm biased because I've worked for a big theme park in Florida, and you guys have appeared on different things with them, so I'll watch different cartoons and movies or shorts and stuff like that, and all of a sudden in the credits or somewhere in, and I'm like, wait a second, that sounds like Big Bad VooDoo Daddy. Oh wait, yeah.
I know, that's so fun. Like we did do a couple of appearances in cartoons, and they happened at the perfect time. Like when my kids were at the age where they were watching those cartoons, and it's like, man, I remember one Christmas we were in this cartoon, and the kids were watching it, and it came on, and they just lit up. Dad, is that you? Is that you, Dad? Is that you? It was so exciting, really fun.
And that's a good transition. I mean, you're a father of two.
Yes.
And how is that? How is family life? Kind of a two-part question in the sense, for you, how is it being a touring musician, and how is it for your family? Like you were just mentioning, like somebody in your family hears you or realizes who you are in a public setting. Is that strange?
Yeah, no, it's really fun. Like the one thing that makes it like really special is that we grew up this way. Like I actually met my wife at the Derby. While we were playing there. We played there for 2.5 years, and her and her friends would come, and we started dating while we were playing there, and it worked out. We got married in 1998. And so it's the life we've always known, so to speak. So like would I be traveling, and also she shared in the very huge success of Swingers and the first album going platinum and everything like that. Echo, my wife, was right along for the entire ride, and so when we started having children, it was kind of like, well, this is just what I do, and so we kind of work around it, and it was difficult for her. More so than I realized, because I would go out on tour in the early days, we'd go out for like a month at a time, sometimes even like 2 months, like solid,
Right.
back to back in the very popular days. And she was at home, and our daughter was born in 1999, so that was right at the peak of it. So she's home alone with a little tiny baby, and like not much external help. Like we live in Ventura, and my parents lived up in Santa Barbara, it's about 40 minutes drive. So my parents weren't able to come down, or they weren't next door,
Right.
like that. She did have some friends come over, but not quite at the level that she should have. And then we had our second child in the year 2002, and that was even more of a stress that I didn't realize. I wish I could have accommodated her better, because now she has two little ones at home on her own. And it really was a struggle for a couple of years. And like when I came home, I would do everything I can to relieve her of her responsibilities, help with the children, be with the family as much as I could. But it was a lot of work for her, and I salute her. She really put up with a lot in the early days.
Oh, absolutely. I salute her as well, because the podcast itself, Cursology is all about connection, and it is cool with guests that I have on that do different things, and whether they're in the public light or not, the ones like you that are kind of, it's cool to shine the light on. You're still human. You're still, a person that has family at home, and we all get caught up in the drama and all the tabloids and who's doing what with who and trying to snap a private picture that whatever. But it's you're a dad. You're a musician, but you're an artist. But you're a dad and you're a husband, and I like that connection of grounding. I've always gotten the feel from you, from all of our conversations, all of our breakfasts and lunches and brunches, that you're so grounded. You're so
thank you.
You appreciate your fans. You appreciate what you get to do, but you remember what you went through to get there.
Yeah, this is so true. And then also, I got to give a shout out to like my parents, who really gave me a wonderful home to grow up in, and very loving and supportive, and like they're still together. They're both still alive, and they both still live in the house I grew up in. And the fact that I had such a stable home life, and also supportive too. Like when I was younger, whatever I wanted to do, they would support. Like if I wanted to be in theater, like they pay for doing a theater production, or like learning music. They'd help me get lessons, or buy an instrument or something like that. Or I did sports for a little while, and even support with that. It's like everything that my sister and I did, they were there for us, and that makes all the difference in the world. Like having a good home life, and I try to perpetrate that in my life too. It's like kind of emulate, the home and the life that my parents were able to give me, and I've tried very hard to allow my children to grow up with something along those same lines. And I think they have. Like my son just turned 21 this month, and my daughter's going to be 24 in September. So I think they turned out pretty good. They're doing pretty well right now, and so I think we did all right.
They have a great inspiration and great example to follow. So that's a good start. Did you always want to be a musician? You said you touched with like sports and that sort of stuff. You went through different instruments, but did you know that you wanted to play or try to figure out how to be in the arts as a little kid?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like one of my first loves was theater, and we had growing up in Santa Barbara, we had this great summer program called Youth Theater. And there's a family, Laura Dolis was the director, and then she had two sons, Ted Dolis and forget the other one. And they usually put on 2 shows a year during the summer. One was kind of like a drama, and one was like a full-on musical. And I'd always audition, and I'd sometimes just be in the cast, or like in the dancing, the choruses and stuff like that. I very rarely got a lead, because I was still kind of young. The ones who would get the leads would be the kids that were like in high school or even junior college and stuff. Right. But we had a lot of fun, man. We did all these Broadway shows. We did Half a Sixpence. We did Oklahoma, Annie Get Your Gun. What else was I in? And there's other ones that happened. There's Oliver. They did a version of that. So it was all these classic. And then it was a full production. Like they'd have a full orchestra. And so the musicians that were from the high school and the junior high, they would audition to be in the orchestra, and they must have gotten these scripts and these charts from real Broadway productions, because we had like proper scripts, like they were in the book form, and we had to return them when we were done.
Right.
And same with the charts too. Like I remember seeing the music, and they were like these big books, and they were on this nice yellow thick paper. Like it wasn't like somebody Xeroxed it and handed it out to you. Right. It was the real deal, and having that in my history as part of my past is like, it was so magical and so golden and just irreplaceable, because there's nothing, where we live, there's really nothing like that here. It's like there's small theater productions, but it's not to the level that I got to enjoy when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. And so that just led to all kinds of things, like being in the band, and even in our schools we had choirs. Like there's a choir program. Yeah. And then in the junior high and high school we had like full theater productions and stuff. And I'm gonna show my age here. When I was in junior high, it was 1977, 1978, okay. 1979. So it was a different era. There was a lot more money that the schools had, and then even in high school, yeah. Like the schools had money, and they had band programs, and they had theater programs, and they had great well-funded sports programs, and so it's growing up in that era. We really had a lot of good instruction, a lot of good experience. So
yeah, all the support was there.
Yeah, and so that led to like a really lifelong appreciation of the arts. Mm-hmm. So it just kind of conveyed and just kept perpetrating throughout my life. I wanted to do something either like in theater or music, and then music kind of started to develop, and I started getting into bands, and so that kind of took off, and so it was just a good background, a good growing up, a good adolescence.
Right. And so when you're not on the road with the band or doing tours or anything like that, do you do things on your own? You have your own, do you do gigs? Do you just get out there just to play and with other musicians, or?
Yeah. It's like when I'm home, there's different groups that I play with that are fun, kind of like little pickup groups, and for a while I was kind of developing a solo act where I just play the guitar and sing and learn a bunch of songs, and then I was playing ukulele, mm-hmm. and there's a friend of mine who plays percussion, so I did like ukulele sing, and then he'd play like a cajon or different shakers or bongos, and it was really fun, just a real kind of a simple fun way of conveying music, and it kept me sharp too, learning songs, like to learn these tunes and memorize the words, and it keeps your mind sharp. It's like the same thing that you do when you like learn a script. Mm-hmm. It's like the memorization of it all. It's a good exercise in cognitive skills.
Right. Well, yeah. And that was kind of what my next question was kind of going to is, we all just assume, hey, we're going to go see Nickelback, we're going to go see Big Bad Voodoo Day, we're going to go see Beyonce, and the show's just the show, right? You hear about sound checks, and you hear about putting a show together, but it's the downtime, as an actor, I can audition all the time, and you're waiting for that one to hit. So as a professional musician, do you guys have rehearsals? Do you use your side gigs, like you were just saying, in solo time to kind of tweak and tune? Do you, or how does that work on the off time to kind of keep on the ball?
Yeah, that's exactly it. You hit it on the head. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you focused. It keeps you playing. Like you always have to practice, whether it's a little bit or a lot. You always have to do it, at some capacity, or else you lose it. You get stiff, or the muscle memory goes away. So you have to keep it up. So by playing these other gigs, or like composing, or setting deadlines for yourself, like, okay, I'm going to rehearse with these guys on Friday. I got to get prepared to rehearse with them. It's like it keeps you sharp. Keeps you focused and stuff. So yeah, it's and the other thing too, it's really fortunate, is VooDoo Daddy has been able to support me like throughout our career. Like we've really focused on making sure that the band can support, or our touring will support the band. So we've lived a really good life that way, in the sense that when we're home, we don't have to scrap for other gigs unless we actually want to. So it's like we don't have to like go out to make extra money. Like, oh my God, I'm going to be short this month. I better go get a gig. You know.
Right.
So it's like we've been very lucky that way, where we could use our downtime to just keep expanding or keep growing as an artist and a musician, and then also spend time with the family, which is really good. So been very lucky that way.
Because there is that difference, like I said, you have your family at home, your family, but then you are a road family. You're a touring family as well, which has all the pieces that a normal family has as well. But I spent so much time with Kenny Rogers, and that was a family too. They took care of each other. They made sure you knew personal things so that you can ask and be involved and be interested, but not superficially. And if you're spending 100 days on the road or whatever it is for your tour, you should get to know the people and care for them genuinely, because you're with them.
Yeah, that's so true. And it also takes the right personality, to be able to be in that close proximity with people for that long. It's like you see them first thing in the morning, and it's the last person you see at night. And then just all the nuances, like traveling, making sure that you're awake on time and you got all your stuff together, and being on time is vitally important. And making sure that you remember all the things you brought with you, and just keeping it together. And then on top of that, you have to be sharp and ready to do your job in the evening when it's time to hit the stage. So it's a whole combination of finding the right personality and the right talent and everything. And we've lucked out. Like we've found the right guys, and we've stuck with them. And then even the crew members. Like we have like a couple of guys that have been on the crew for years and years and years, and they fit in. They fit in really well. And then we have a couple of revolving chairs that come around. But even the people that come in to work for a short period of time are excellent too. So it's like you're absolutely right. It's the real trick of finding the right personality.
And it is a tribute to you and the band, because that's kind of how we got together. I was at a theater that I was just in charge of the contracts and making sure backstage was taken care of, and the artists coming in had what they wanted and needed. And we just started talking and off, and you're like, hey, you took care of this, or I'm surprised you had this, because normally we don't get this. And we knew some of the same peoples with different crossing of different musician tours and world tours and stuff. So
that was so cool. I think, if I remember right, it was we were at the Potawatomi Casino in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. And we were in the bus, and it was parked outside. You came up to the bus, and I saw this good-looking young man. I go, who is that? And I go, hey, I'm Chris Cruiser. I work with Kenny Rogers, and I just want to come over and say hi. I really like your band. And I'm like, well, hey, it's so nice to meet you. And right on. And then after that, we just kept in touch. I thought it was so cool. Like, you just extended a warm handshake, and that was the beginning of a good friendship.
Yeah, I was kind of, I guess, in my little, world, I just assumed if I can, I know musicians, so I can just, hey, I'm just going to walk up and talk to people, because,
Well, that's absolutely true, too. It's like, just a friendly face and a good attitude, it just gets you it can get you anywhere. And, you just got to meet the right people and say the right things and be of the right mindset, and, you'll go far. And it's like, and I think that's how you make friends, and like you certainly showed that, and it was really, really fun. Then after that, we kept we'd run into each other, or I'd see like Kenny Rogers was playing somewhere, and I'd say, hey Chris, look at this. And that was fun. Or we'd play somewhere in Chicago and say, hey, that's my hometown.
Yep. I love it, and it's that connection, and that's what this podcast is all about. Cursology is all about connection and having that, as well as tales. So now we're to the point here of Tales. For those that may be joining for the first time, or just as a refresher, Tales is Tales, as in like stories, but that stands for Tests, Adventures, Lessons, Entertainment, and Successes. And what I like to do, in light of James Lipton, who was head of the Actor Studio for so many years, and he had different questions that he used to ask of every guest. I didn't want to steal his questions, so I made up my own. And so here it is. So for tests, what is a big test in your life that you have had that you had to push through?
Well, it's kind of personal, but it really not everybody has dealt with this, and but it tested our entire family actually. My daughter, when she was born with a heart condition, and it was really difficult to accept this when she was a little tiny baby, and went to the doctor, and the doctor said, well, I'm hearing something in her heart, like a swooshing sound. So we had a sonogram done of her heart, and found out that there's holes between the ventricles. So like the blood was commingling, like the oxygenated blood was mingling with the unoxygenated blood. And so they said, okay, eventually, she's gonna have to have surgery. We're gonna have to go in there, and we're gonna have to patch up these holes in her heart. She's gonna have to have heart surgery. Here's my infant daughter, and we're already planning for a heart surgery. And okay, when can we do it? Well, let's wait till she gets a little older. Like if she gets to be about 1, she'll be a little older, and then they can probably work on it. And so we were traveling, and I think we were in Florida or something like that, and I get this call that my daughter had a cyanotic spell, which means that the blood commingled and the unoxygenated blood got into like her brain, and she turned blue. And so she was rushed to the hospital, and they were able to stabilize her. But then the doctor said, okay, we gotta do this surgery like now. And so within that next week, we drove down to UCLA, and she had her first heart surgery, and it went well, and we thought we were in the clear, but we were not. And I could spend a lot of time telling you all the trials and tribulations that she went through with her poor little heart, but over the course of time, there was different, we had a second surgery was done, and then even a third one. And the third surgery was really tough because they cut, what's it called, the conduction. The conduction, it's like the nerves that go to the heart that regulate the heart and stuff like that. So the doctor had to put in a pacemaker to emulate the beating of the heart. So the pacemaker was receiving the signal from the brain, but duplicating it to make the heart pump. So now here's my child. Not only that she's had open surgery, now she's like in middle school, and she has a pacemaker. And it's just like, just one setback after the other. And poor thing, like she just really, she soldiered on. She did the best she could. She's lived a good life. She's alive and healthy today. It was hospitalizations are really tough. And it's in the beginning I was really optimistic, like, hey, we're going to the hospital, we're going to get fixed, and we're going to be done. It's like, well, no. It's like it's the beginning of a journey of going back to the hospital and stuff. So it was really, really, really tough. And so that was like a real test. Test on the family, test on my wife and I's relationship, and just everything really focused on Eva, and making sure that she was comfortable, and that her health was good. And so it was a real test. And it's something that we have to continue monitor to today, and she still has a pacemaker. It's working. Everything's fine. The heart has been repaired years and years ago, so that's in our favor. But it's a medical condition that we're living with, and it's always there. And so, like, you see these other kids that are like skiing and surfing and rock climbing and stuff like that. And sweetheart really can't do that. She's not supposed to be moving her arms in repetitive motions, for fear of compromising the circuitry and the wires that are in the pacemaker. So it's like she hasn't had the life that her friends have had, which has been a setback. But she's made up for it in other ways. I mean, she's a fantastic scholar. She graduated UC Santa Cruz in 2022 with a degree in chemistry. She's at graduate school right now. She's going to get her master's and a teaching credential, and her goal is to be a high school chemistry teacher.
Oh, okay.
So she's really, she's excelled in a lot of different ways, and really proud of her. But that's my test. That was the test our family went through, and it still is a Still is a big one.
Yeah, and that's definitely an example of you want to make God laugh, plan your life. You
That's so true.
you start planning and say, oh, we're gonna have a kid, and it's gonna be healthy, and we're gonna do it. Yeah, throw the little
Yeah.
bumps there.
Oh, that's so true. The universe has different plans.
Absolutely, absolutely. Are there adventures in your life that you can whittle down, like one or two that that have inspired or helped you kind of get through those tests? Like, what's a
Well,
big adventure?
well, the adventure, it might be like a whole different subject, but we already talked earlier about the beginning parts of the Voodoo Daddy career,
Mm-hmm.
and those really were like some amazing adventures. Like we had this van, and we were all in this van, and we drove across the country and stayed in hotels and did gigs and saw the country when the Southwest and the Deep South and the East Coast, and met a lot of different people and saw a lot of different types of lifestyles. And even in the U.S., there's like different cultures, that
Yeah.
growing up in Southern California, we only just kind of read about. Like, there's some like really, really devastating poverty across the country that we saw firsthand. And, growing up in Southern California, like we saw like homelessness and things like that, but
Mm-hmm.
not to the level that we saw in the Deep South or in some places on the East Coast, where it's like it could be pretty eye opening.
Yeah.
But those were fantastic adventures. We were on our own and just living out of a van and a hotel room and our suitcase, and it's like, looking back, it was pretty darn risky what we did, but we pulled through. So that was an incredible adventure, and just so grateful that van held up. We kept making sure we had oil changes and kept the tires in shape, and made sure that all the mechanics were working on that thing, and it paid off. We never really suffered any huge breakdowns or any accidents. It's like all the thousands of miles that we put on that van, and it never ran it off the road or got hit by anything. It's just, I can't believe it. It's just amazing.
Yeah, well, and that's a good transition in the sense of for lessons. You have these adventures, but you're learning things, and you're out of your bubble. You're almost your comfort zone of like, hey, we grew up in California. This is what we know, and this is what we want to do. But now you're going to places or passing through places, going, wow, that's really how it is. And some of it could be fun. I mean, I'm sure you had great times where you're like, I didn't think this was going to be this great, and or food or drink or time out. But then you do learn things as you go across. What's a big lesson that you've taken so far from traveling?
Well, I would say that it's good. It's good to trust. Like, it's good to have trust that trust that things are going to work out in your favor. Trust that the agreements that you make are going to be honored. Trust that the people that you come across will do right by you.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of times you can get deceived, and a lot of times you can get robbed, and a lot of times that you can get hoodwinked. So it's like I think one of the lessons I've really learned is like, just always be on your guard. Like, always keep your stuff with you. Always lock up the car. Always double check that everything's going to be what you think it's going to be. Always be aware, like, especially driving. Like, we've driven so much, and we still drive to this day. Like, our the way we operate is we'll fly into a city and we'll rent cars, and we'll drive to the different cities that we go to, and we'll rent like a Penske box truck, and that's where all the gear goes in. And so we're driving a lot. We've driven thousands and thousands and thousands of miles, and so the lesson really is just to always be aware and always be observant of your surroundings, and always be on guard. Like, that's my lesson. It's like, just don't think things are going to be all right just because they're going all right now.
Right. Yeah, things can change in an instant.
It's so true, and right when you least expect it to. So just always be aware.
Do you find that it's do you find that it's hard to balance that? Like, I mean, obviously I'm the benefactor of our friendship, and there was trust there at the beginning. It was just a colleague of, hey guys, I fulfilled your contract, but you have to balance, like, yes, be aware, lock your doors, hopefully trust that the contract is going to be fulfilled.
Yeah, and like, you know, if somebody's like, you just have to kind of read personalities and make sure that someone's not trying to, you know, squeeze in to get something else, you know, and it's, you know, like try to spot the shyster before he spots you, kind of thing.
Absolutely. You fine tune that skill, I guess.
Yeah, and it's never foolproof, but you could always just, you know, just stay observant, stay on guard, don't let your guard down, you know. Just be aware. Like, we've avoided some amazing traffic situations just by, you know, being sharp, you know, watching out. Like, one time I was driving, and there was like one of those like construction pickup trucks. The guys have a construction site where they have like tools on the side and the ladders on the rack, and, you know, it's like a extension cord hanging off, and it's like one of those trucks. So I was following it. And I never follow a vehicle too closely. I always leave a lot of lead time. And fucking hell! Oh, I'm sorry. One of the aluminum ladders flew off, and it landed on the ground in front of me, and it was going at the same thing as the truck, so it was sliding on the freeway in front of me, like moving away, but it was still sliding and kind of fishtailing this giant aluminum ladder right in front of me, and I just watched it, and as I was gaining up on it, I didn't slam on the brakes. It drifted to one side, so I drove around it, and it's, oh man, if I was daydreaming or looking out the window or, you know, not paying attention to the road, that I could have messed up that car really bad, you know. But a big giant aluminum ladder just came off right in front of me, and I so luckily avoided it. It's just
I feel like that's a whole different episode of Tales from the Road.
Yeah, that's another one. And also, like, speeding, man. There's I don't know what it is, man. Maybe I'm an old man, but I think people drive faster now than they used to. And man, there's another thing that's like, I won't take too much time, but there's a person that must have had something seriously wrong going on with them, because they were going so fast. They had their foot all the way on the floor, and they were weaving in and out of traffic. It was frightening, and I'm so glad that we didn't get rear-ended by this car. Then, sure enough, about 2 miles down the road, traffic started to slow, and he had flipped. He'd gone off the road and flipped the car, and so he was probably, or he or whoever it was going through something very traumatic, and just drove their car off the road at a really high rate of speed. But man, I'm so lucky I didn't get rear-ended by that. It's like, really, really frightening. But it's like, so I guess, you know, lessons are just stay observant.
I will agree to that.
You could probably edit a lot of that out if you want.
No worries. Yeah. No, it's and we are, you know, we do check off the box that you know, under 18 it could have explicit, so we're good on all that.
Okay, good.
Because I'm not one either to kind of, you know, throw words around. I use even, you know, swear words or whatever as just emphasizers as opposed to angry. So so no worries.
Okay, good.
You spend your business, right, your professional life entertaining. You spend a lot of your personal life entertaining with separate gigs and that sort of thing. But what does Dirk Shumaker find entertaining for himself?
Oh, you're so kind. You know, I don't know. I always like discovering music. I like learning songs, like learning the chord structures of like older songs are always kind of revealing to me. It's always fun, and I've been playing the ukulele a lot lately, and I really enjoy that. It's very satisfying to like play songs on that and sing and walk around the house. I enjoy that, and of course I enjoy movies. Always haven't seen the 2 hit movies yet of the summer, but my wife and I are planning to go see Barbie pretty soon.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I love films, love old TV shows. Like my son and I started watching the original Star Trek series.
Oh yeah, okay.
You know, William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy and all those guys, and it is so campy, and we just eat it up. It's so funny. It's just love it. I love the long shots and the glamour shots, and everyone's like so young and pretty. It's really really fun. And the music, like the '60s music of TV shows.
Yeah.
That's fun. And
especially all that space stuff where it's all the woo, and you're like,
it's just so campy, all the costuming and the makeup and stuff, and we just eat it up. We love it. And so just the standard entertainment stuff. I do like getting exercise. Like I walk the dogs every morning, and that's a great way to start the day. Just a good hour and a half walk. Really is rejuvenating. And also where I live too. I live in Ventura, California, so we're right next to the ocean. Like go take a walk on the beach is always nice. And right now it's the beginning of August, so the weather is just it's perfect. Like it's warm, and go down to the beach. It's nice and cool, and it's just it's beautiful. So getting out and getting like some light exercise is always really beneficial.
Yeah, and kind of enjoy your family time as well, your road time, but then a little bit of just Dirk time, like
and enjoying where we live. I mean, it's very very fortunate. Like no matter where I travel, whenever I come home to Southern California, I just feel so grateful that I was born and raised here and was able to raise my family here too.
Yeah. Well, you so far have had a successful life, in my opinion, and career, and it will continue. But what is your definition of success, and do you think you've achieved it?
Yeah, I really have, and my sons reminded me every now and then that what we have. People dream of this, being able to be in a successful entertainment group, and then to maintain this level of work for so long. Like in popular music, for a band to stay together for 30 years is literally unheard of. Like it's just a handful of groups that have been able to do that, and the fact that we've been able to make a living of it. It's like all the other musicians that we talk to, they always kind of shake their head in disgust and say, "Man, you guys, you've done it for so long, and it's like, and you're still doing it." It's like, it's like, we're really lucky. It's just keeping it together, and we have nice homes to live in, and nice families around us, and good friends, and for the most part, we all have our health. Try to stay healthy, eat healthy, and get exercise, and just kind of stay on the good foot, and just keep moving ahead. So yeah, I would say that it's been a wonderful ride, and I just feel very lucky for what we have, and just trying to enjoy it and preserve it.
Absolutely, and we definitely want it to keep going. So for those that want to find maybe individual things, do you have the best way to find Dirk Shumaker things, or things that you've guest appeared on, or do you have a website, or do you have different album that you're kind of working on now? Or?
Not really personal. Like most of my media and stuff is tied to VooDoo Daddy. Like if you went to DirkShumaker.com, it would take you to my page on the VooDoo Daddy site. Okay. And my children's album isn't really available anymore. You can stream it through Spotify and stuff like that, but it's not really for purchase. It's kind of out of print. Like I did a run, but then we sold through them, and then I just didn't see the real need to invest in printing another 1,000 copies of it.
Right.
They're going out, but
which means if you do find it, get it. If you see it somewhere, grab it.
Yeah, it's a collector's item now.
Absolutely.
But I just kind of haven't really tried to bust out, so to speak, like make my own mark. I really enjoyed my work with the VooDoo Daddy, and I try to be a good supporter and a good player, and everything else I do is just kind of for fun. Like my ukulele group that I play with is a couple of the guys are retired, and so we don't really search out like gigs much farther away than where we live. Right. Like we've gotten some offers, hey, you should come down to Malibu and play. And he goes, I don't really want to drive that far. And it's like, I'd do it, but the other guys are like, no, we're going to play here. Like there's lots of places around Ventura, Oxnard, Channel Islands, where we live here, where we get gigs at a restaurant or a bar. We're playing a birthday party coming up, and so that's really fun. And I post that on Facebook and Instagram. Like when the group's called the Coconuts.
I like it.
I take off on the coconuts, but it's like and then nautical KNOT like that. the speed of a ship.
Yeah.
So but it's a fun group, and Kenny Walters is like the lead singer, and he's got a lot of country in him. So we do some country songs, and he grew up listening to like Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson and stuff. But then we also do like Kenny Chesney and Jimmy Buffett and old like real island type songs. But that's really rewarding for me. Like the guys are really fun to play with, and everyone sings. All four of them sing. So sometimes we have some really interesting harmonic parts when we all sing together. But it comes off well. It's fun. It's really fun.
Well, and that's what's cool is it's that limited edition. Kind of like your children's album. Like you can only catch you in these certain times in certain cities, and that's what makes it special. If you were touring everywhere and everybody can see you, then it's like, oh yeah, I'll catch them next year or next time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we could benefit with some more recordings and some more video. Like it'd be fun, especially in this day and age. Like everything's so image driven, like with YouTube and stuff like that. Like we've made some videotapes, but you haven't really publicized them or pushed them and stuff like that. And then on top of that, it's a lot of the songs that we play are old standards and stuff like that. And YouTube has this weird thing, like they won't let you put it up because it's not original content.
Oh yeah.
So it's like it's kind of too bad. But I tell you, our songbook it really appeals to definitely the over 50 crowd, and that's a lot of places we play. Like we played a couple of yacht clubs that are around here, and they just the men and women they go bananas. They hear a song they haven't heard for a long time, and they just light up like, I haven't heard that song in so long. So it's like it's really fun.
I love that. Maybe you'll be the help in bringing things back. All these different neon colors from the 90s are coming back, and all these I feel like it's cyclical. Like you have 80s are now classic, but they're trying to have The Weeknd does most of his sound with like the 80s synthesized sounds, and maybe you guys will help bring the older classics back.
I hope so too, and VooDoo Daddy always says that too. It's like we're about primed for a retro revival.
Exactly.
We're in the right place. It's been 20 years. It's like time for it to get popular again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, kudos and congratulations to you guys, because not only a band staying together, but anybody working for any company for 20, 30 years is like unheard of now.
Yes, it really is. We struck gold. We have a good group of people, and everyone's got the right headset, so we're really, really lucky.
Perfect. Well, I wish you the best, my friend. I thank you so much for coming and agreeing to give some of your time to chat with us. I can't wait to see you hopefully sometime soon.
Well, it's my pleasure, man. And I look forward to seeing you too. And I know hopefully we'll get down into the South again, because that was fun when I got to see you when we were in Atlanta that one day. Yeah. And hopefully we'll get back there soon. It's unfortunately we don't. The only place we usually play in the South is in Florida, so it's like it's very rare that we make it up to Atlanta. But you never know. Probably as soon as I say that, we're going to get a booking there. So
right. Or if we go back to our old theme park stomping grounds, and if you guys are still playing there.
We got a date November 10th and 11th, I think. Okay. We got booked, so it's like that's. Let me check the calendar real quick.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm speaking correctly here. September, October, November.
While you look, I'll let everybody know that's for the Food and Wine Fest at Epcot at Disney World. So that's
right. So Friday, November 10th, Saturday, November 11th.
Excellent. Well, if you're in the Orlando area or want to catch Big Bad VooDoo Daddy there, please do. It's an awesome setup. They kind of do 3 shows a day, a little bit different each time, so you kind of want to catch them all. So catch them there. Or if you're in California, look Dirk up and catch the Coconuts.
Yes.
Out on their little tour.
Yeah, come out to the Coconuts gig. That'd be fun.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, friend. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate our time together. And thank you to everybody out there for watching. If you watch, listening, if you listen, continue to take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we will catch you next time.
All right, Chris, thank you so much, man. This has been a real pleasure. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right, bye.
Take care.